So that is 3 cases in the book, and 3 cases that bring a lot of evidence. It's not just us talking because we have anything to grind with that city, because we don't. 4th case now is one that's more of a generalization. There's a generalization that if you come to Philadelphia wearing a Cowboys jersey, and it's because of people like Skip Bayless that bring up this generalization, that you will get a beer dumped on you. Now, certainly, there have been cases that this has happened. But I've been to games, not Eagles games, but I've been to Phillies games where people have had Red Sox jerseys on and people have said stuff. As fans, though. Not like to ruin their game experience. As fans, arguing with people, talking sports, that type of thing. But the beer thing. Okay, so people in Philly dumped a beer on someone. Let's just go with that. I don't know an exact example where that happens.
Because there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of them everywhere, and we're about to get to that.
Let's go last year to Chicago, the lovely Cubs fans. And I don't mean this to say anything bad about Cubs fans, but Cubs fans have this reputation of, oh man, it's kind of funny to me because like the people that are saying this are like New York fans or Boston fans or LA fans, and they don't always act perfect. They're not like this. They boo too, but they give this reputation to Chicago. Oh, they haven't won in so long, and they just sit there and they are so serious as fans that they don't do anything wrong. They don't boo. Last year, Shane Victorino was moving back to catch a pop-up off Alfonso Soriano's bat. And instead of, fortunately, he still caught the ball. Pop-up, he catches it, and a beer comes down on his head. People have really tried to tell me that this was an accident. I am sorry, but if you're going to act like this towards Philadelphia, I can honestly tell you, if you think that's an accident, you have overdosed on heroin.
You know what's funny? Is I have people telling me that it was an accident, and they have that netting around the top of the ivy over there. So you literally would have to throw it over that.
Yeah, I mean, Victorino wasn't directly against the ivy. And come on, what are the odds of him...
He was a good 6 feet away from it.
Yeah, what are the odds of him actually just dropping it by accident at the exact second that Shane Victorino gets there? Come on. Now, there's another case I'll go to in 2006, I think it was, Yankees-Red Sox game. Great fans for both sides, I will not take that away. You look at these fans and you look at the fact that they basically are in the situation where they dislike each other strongly, kind of like any other rivalry for any pro sports.
One of the biggest rivalry, it's obviously the biggest rivalry in baseball. I think it's one of, if not the biggest rivalry.
It's either that or Michigan-Ohio State.
Yeah, either way.
But Gary Sheffield goes back to catch a pop-up against the wall in right field, and a beer comes down. So, what I'm getting at here is, again, you want to say it only happens in Philadelphia, and I'm not condoning the idiots that do it in Philadelphia, but guess what? It happens everywhere. On to case number 5 now, and what would case number 5 be? And a lot of these have actually come recently.
Case number 5 is something we did one of our favorite videos about, which is the fan being tasered at Citizens Bank Park last year. Now, this guy was a college kid. I believe he was drunk, and he just wanted attention.
He was high.
Run up. Huh?
He was high.
Yeah, he was high. So, okay. He wanted attention. He wanted to run out onto the field. And I think this is more funny than anything, but again, because it got so much attention by the national media, people blow it up and say, oh, well, look, it happened in Philly, so that guy is probably an asshole.
And it represents the whole city.
And he represents the whole fan base.
Which, it's just a joke if you do that in any city, but I will get... Please, guys, stick around and watch the end of this video, because the end will give you the message and the whole point of us doing this video.
Okay. So you continue on that note with the counterexample.
The counterexample would be this year, and they're somewhat different. The stabbing in San Francisco over fans. And I specifically said in the video that I did not mean... It was I forget who was it. The Dodgers on the Giants or the Giants on the Dodger fan?
I'm pretty sure it was in L.A. and the Giants just won, and it was a Dodgers fan on a Giants fan.
Okay, so they stabbed this guy who's still in a coma, or no, he woke up and he has like brain damage.
Yeah, he's never going to be.
They screwed his life over, basically. So you have the case of a guy running onto a field, which happens in every single stadium, and because the stupid cop tased him, that makes our city bad. But then you go over to a serious example. I mean, that one's just kind of funny. It's kind of ironic how people think they're going to be funny and they really just end up looking like assholes. But this case, a guy actually ruined the whole guy's life. This guy probably ruined his kid's life. The two guys that stabbed him, they ruined his kids' lives because his kids were standing there right there. I mean, can you imagine having to watch your dad get stabbed? That'd be awful.
That's like a nightmare.
Yeah. So, but if that happened in Philly, no, I don't hear people really necessarily say that, oh man, Dodgers fans are horrible people. The way that, if that happened in Philly, we might as well just burn the whole city down, because that's basically what the national media would have done.
We might as well just all commit suicide, honestly, because we're just gonna, I can't even explain it.
Yeah, you have to live here or be in one of the cities where you get all this stuff, which is not New York for sure, or LA, because LA is protected by the lovely national media. Yet another case of selective reporting. And I'm getting tired of it, really.
Just talking about this is just pissing me off.
Okay, the final case I get, and it's one of a smaller one, but when you really, really get into this argument, people say, well, how about in 2008, when you guys booed Jimmy Rollins the year after he won the MVP? Now, I guess it's dependent on how you view booing, but I just viewing as giving the guy a kick in the ass, which is basically, at that point, Jimmy Rollins had a horrible first half of that season, and that's what they were doing. He also said that Philadelphia fans could be front runners at times, which happens in every single city, but that let's just forget about that statement. But that was one of the reasons he was being booed, because a guy who normally represents the city kind of called us out in a time that it really didn't make sense because he wasn't having a good season. And people say, well, we wouldn't boo an MVP here. Oh, really? Really? Because let's go back to New York. A-Rod came to New York in 2004 and won the MVP that same season. For the next couple seasons, leading up to a year that ended up being his opt-out clause, he put up good numbers, but did not get this team where they wanted in the playoffs, and did not do well enough to meet their standards. And quite frankly, if anyone tries to tell you A-Rod's not a dick, they're wrong. This whole poker thing I'm hearing right now is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. I don't even know why you're talking about it like it matters to sports. But Yankees fans were not happy with this guy, same way as Phillies fans were, and they booed the shit out of him. Before he started hitting walk-off home runs and went on to win the MVP in 07, and now they act like none of that ever happened, don't they?
It's just sad. It really is. And people want to say that we boo our own players and we're like that, and when we boo, at least with Phillies fans, I'm positive, because I've been to a million games. We boo for a reason. We don't just go out there saying, boo, you suck because you didn't produce for our team.
Yeah, and I think that the biggest thing is people think we boo every single opposing player that comes to Philadelphia.
Not true. Not true.
No, it's really not.
Because when you I'll give the Red Sox game that I was at for an example, and I know you were at a game too.
Yeah.
But when I was at the game, what happened was J.D. Drew was injured the first two games of that series. That he came out and was a defensive sub in, I think it was the 8th inning of that game, and we booed the hell out of him because he's a dick. If you go back to 1998, I'm not going to recap the whole thing for you. Do your own research. If you go back to 1998, you'll understand why.
Okay, let me just explain. The Phillies drafted him, he didn't sign here because he didn't like the city of Philadelphia. As if anyone in any other city wouldn't have done the same exact thing. I don't know. That's just stupid, honestly.
But my point is, when they were announcing like the lineups and when Adrian Gonzalez and David Ortiz comes out, I mean, you hear a couple of drunk guys that are like, "Oh, you suck," but it's not like a resounding boo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we understand what's going on. Come on. And please, guys, stick around for the final message in this, because it will, if you're thinking that we're just hating on every city, we will change your opinion on that real quickly. Okay, so we called out New York, Boston, San Francisco, Chicago, San Diego, and whatever other city I'm missing. We didn't do that because we have an issue with those cities, because me and AC really aren't like that. I'm not going to sit here and call out the city of San Francisco because they beat us last year. Last year is last year. You beat us. Congratulations, you guys won the World Series. You should be happy. You shouldn't care what people think. Neither of us are the type to do that. The same went for 2009 when the Yankees beat us. We weren't these people on here when the Phillies had this huge payroll saying, "Oh, the Yankees bought the World Series." We're not. That's just stupid to me.
We actually focused more on why the Phillies lost rather than why the Yankees won.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of people we are. We don't focus on calling out other people when they beat us. We focus on what can we do better.
Yeah, and we weren't even on YouTube then. I had my own website, but it's taken down now. Now, the reason we did this is to make a point that it happens in all these cities. And it's not reported because the people who reported against Philadelphia are from these cities, or they don't have a thing against these cities. Skip Bayless, stuff happens in Dallas all the time. He doesn't report that, but he reports all the stuff that happens in Philadelphia.
Honestly, if something happens in Dallas, Skip Bayless is like what? He doesn't even know what you're talking about.
He has an excuse for it.
He's oblivious to every bad thing that happens in that city.
He's a homer to all the teams he's ever covered.
It's just sad.
Yeah, but you go through these things, and I even see people I respect on the internet call out Philly for these things. But come on, guys, come on.
It gets to the point where you're almost like, just open
It's
your
like,
eyes.
do your own research. This happens in all these cities. And these things that you're blowing up to be these huge things really aren't anything. Throwing a snowball, come on. Puking, yeah, it's not exactly sanitary, and it probably ruined your experience. But that's not a life-changing experience.
It's not like getting stabbed or running over someone.
Yeah. Bullying happens in every single city, and if you don't think that's true, then you don't watch sports.
Then why don't you go to every stadium when they're in a rivalry game? Just go. And you'll see.
Tasering, I don't even know what to say about that. That's funny, man.
That was just stupid. Like, that was just dumb.
Yeah, it's stupid. It really is. And, the Michael Irvin thing, we backed up with a completely exact example to it. So, it is what it is. And I think the city of Vancouver is dealing with a lot worse than what we are now. Because there are a bunch of idiots, more than have happened in all these cases combined, that, let me see how I want to phrase this. They rioted and burned down half the city. And now all Vancouver Canucks fans are apparently bad. Or if you go to Vancouver Canucks fans who repped Philly, they're like, "Oh, well, it's my city." And that's my point. Is when you look at it from an insider's perspective, it's not going to look bad. When you look at it from an outsider's perspective, sure, you can make it look bad, but then if you think about, if I was in this city, what would I really think? It's kind of funny, actually.
It's ironic. It is ironic because there's two sides to every story. It's an old gay cliche, but it's very true. Very true. There's two ways of looking at everything, and if you don't look at both, then you're just being biased, and that's what the national media is.
So we will no longer respond to your stupid comments about Philadelphia. We will redirect you to this video, or part 1 and part 2 of why the national media hates Philadelphia. I'm Timmy's AC. We screwed all your loopholes. We'll see you later.